Welcome to 646. My name is Dawson McManus, and it's really exciting because we are doing the maiden voyage at Treblecock Studios today. And a quick thank you to Pet Rock Radio for putting this out, and a huge thank you to the very first sponsor of the show, Mad Sound Dynamics. Don't forget to use the promo code 646 at checkout, and that is madsounddynamics.com for all your drum apparel needs in terms of cymbal shields and practice pads and whatnot. So, super stoked because we have Nicholas Campbell here today.
Howdy.
Hey, man. Thanks for finally finding the time to do. You're a busy busy dude, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really glad to be doing it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
I've been listening to your stuff all morning.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So really fun. My kid loves it, by the way. She was dancing the whole time.
Amazing.
Yeah. She came out and she's like, Daddy. Like, yeah. I got to play guitar, huh? She's like, oh, good guitar. Which is great. So, and
right on.
Yeah, and she likes the grooves, and so I think I've got like a real little rockabilly princess at home, which is
amazing,
pretty
amazing.
rad. Yeah,
totally.
I think we met when you were 14-ish, right?
I think so. Yeah, I would have been 13 or 14. Yeah,
something
I think.
like that.
Something like that.
How old are you now?
20.
Okay, that's what I thought. Which is crazy because you could play your ass off back then. And I mean, obviously, I know in 7 years there's going to be a significant growth, and I'm sure, like all the rest of us, when you think how you played even last year compared to this year, you're like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed that anybody heard that.
Well, and that's it too. Like playing wise, it's been incredible to kind of be understanding more what I'm doing. Like I feel like now my playing, I'm more confident in it than I was then.
Sure.
You know?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when I was 14, 13, it was like, I was just autopiloting licks over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't know. I just was like, I'm not the player I want to be, And then I really dove into theory for a bit.
Nice. Yeah.
I dove into theory really hard, and I ended up teaching a bit last year.
Oh, good for you.
So I was like going back to my, theory basics, to teach kids.
Yeah. Where are you teaching out of?
I was teaching at NRG Sounds.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nick Gilroy's place.
Yeah.
I just got so busy I couldn't. I really, really wanted to teach there, but and it was great when I was, but it was just the gigging thing got really busy and I couldn't keep it up.
Yeah, and I mean, for most of us, that's why we get into it in the first place, is to actually play shows. So if you're so busy gigging that you don't have time to teach, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah,
so, awesome.
I was burning out too, like teaching and gigging. I was like,
it's a lot.
I was just not sleeping, and
yes,
crazy.
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Since have taught at Nick's place, having taught at Nick's place, and diving back into theory, I've been like, okay, now I understand, how to put my own licks together and heads and lines, and listening to a lot of cool stuff now.
Yeah. Nice. What have you been listening to lately?
A lot of Louis Prima. Louis
Dude,
Prima
he's
and
so good.
And Sam Butera, all that stuff.
I'm not as familiar with Sam Butera. I love Louis Prima. I got into him initially because of the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
And then, do you know Jesse Whiteley?
Yeah.
Okay.
I play guitar with Jesse Whiteley.
Okay. Man, that dude's a monster, huh?
I love him to death, man. He's so good.
Yeah, he is. And he's an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that whole crew, also R.I.P. Johnny Wong.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, the 24th Street house, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly. That whole crew, man. Emily, which, I mean, you've known Emily forever.
Yeah.
That, like, all of them are just not only seriously top shelf players, but they're the sweetest people.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
Which is super important because the asshole effect is real. Like,
it is.
I don't care how good you are. If you're a prick, I'm not calling you anymore. Like,
that's the whole thing, you know. I don't know. It's the tale that's old as time. Like if you're a player that could improve in the band, but a sweet person to work with. It's like, I'm willing to put the work in so that you can be better in the group than like an awesome, amazing player who sucks to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
can be frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure can.
Yeah.
But luckily for me, I'm banging into shit. In my personal experience, I've been really spoiled for the last overall, like almost 10 years, but like really specifically, especially within the last 5 or 6, it's been an embarrassment of riches for the people that I've gotten to work with, which is super cool.
I find myself saying that today. I'm just like, oh my God, the amount of like fantastic people out there is, it's like we are spoiled for sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. Is that just in this town alone, the talent pool is fucking crazy.
Big time.
Yeah. Oh, we're allowed to swear, by the way.
Okay.
So
shit.
Nice. I love how you leaned in.
Don't tell my mom that I said that.
Oh my God. So funny. Speaking of one of the earlier times that we met, I remember specifically, I don't know why this is so burned into my brain, but you came into L&M and I was in between lessons or something. And I came out and we were chatting and you had a little something stuck in your craw because people have been telling you how good you were for your age. And you were like, God damn it, man. Why do you have to put that proviso on there?
I was a little frustrated with it, yeah.
I totally get it. Like that, I mean, in some ways I miss being told that because that means I'm just a fucking old man now. And
but
which is true.
Then again, it's like people think that you're not just a novelty. Because that's kind of how it felt at the start, is that I was just 11, 12, 13 years old playing guitar and people were like, oh my God, you're so young and it's so great. And, I appreciated it at the time. But it was also like, I want to, and that's the thing too with the music I've been listening to and even writing and creating. Like I'm trying now to have more musical integrity than I ever have.
That's cool.
And it's just like completely changed my mindset.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because back then I was just like, Johnny Be Good. Here's the Chuck Berry intro on every song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play the same autopilot licks. And it was cool. Like I was cutting my teeth and it worked out. I played the Black Horse twice a week, every single week for, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Dude, and then gigging on the weekend.
Yeah, of course.
When I could.
There's nothing like a residency when you're young. To really,
Yep.
How old were you when you had your residency there?
The first show I played there was the open mic, and I would have been just 12,
Holy
just 11 maybe. I had my first show when I was 11, so I think my first show at the Black Horse was December of the year I turned 12. So I would have been 12 when I first started playing there.
Wow.
And then I just kept going out to the open mics every week, every single Tuesday for like a year.
Okay.
And the house band, Randy Hill band, sweetest band. Well, you had met Randy once or twice.
Yeah, I think
from those open mics.
I feel so terrible. Names are my absolute kryptonite.
Sure, totally.
If you showed
me a picture, and it was that long
of
ago too. Like it, when COVID happened, thinking that 2020 was 5 years ago is mad.
It's pretty wild, right?
And a lot of those guys I used to play with even 5 years ago don't gig anymore.
Yeah.
They just stopped gigging, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it
was great fun,
sucked the wind out of a lot of sales, man.
Yeah,
I remember I don't know about you, but the first show back after the really, like that first really extended lockdown, when like in the first gig back, we had to be on separate risers and there were even shields in between Emily, Marcus, and myself.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, this is sort of weird. And I was terrified because I was like, I know I can play in my basement, but can I still play in front of people?
Yeah.
And I had now, by the second song, do you know the tune off of Emily's second album, Black and Blue? Do you know that song?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Maybe
I do.
It's got this really cool like double time drum part.
Yeah.
At the end of the tune. And by the time we got there, I was like, we're doing it. Everything's feeling great. And I was so thankful I was wearing sunglasses because I was so happy I started crying. I'm just like, oh my God.
Well, that's like the true testament that you really love it.
Well, yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that I never got a real job for an extended period of time. I mean, I think I worked at a call center once for like 3 months, and I had like 1 or 2 really shitty part-time sales rep jobs. Yeah, and just every quote unquote real job I walked out of. I was like, fuck this. And I think most people that tried a quote unquote real job, if you're somebody like us, you're not going to make it.
No. And that's the thing, you burn out.
Yeah.
That's how I was feeling teaching. Not that, Nick's schedules were harsh by any means. He was really accommodating to what I was doing at the time, but it was just, I was just like, I can't commit to that and gig at the same time.
It's a lot.
It is so much
because, like, as I'm sure you know, you're making lesson plans, you're learning songs for students, you're learning and writing your own repertoire, and you have to rehearse with the band, you have to gig, you have to
be on the phone,
booking stuff, promoting stuff, and I think that's something. Actually, why don't you tell people what they're really paying for when they hire a band? Because so many people think, like, well, you love to play, yeah, I do.
We love to play.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is we do love to play. But we love to book shows that, make it worthwhile for us to play. And so when people pay even like a $20 ticket on a gig, I feel like I've sat at the computer booking shows for more time than I've actually been on stage in the last 4 or 5 years. Just like grinding it out, trying to find gigs, and it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
That's another reason I had to step back from teaching, is because it is a full-time job. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm on the computer, and then Thursday to Sunday, I'm gigging. Yeah. Every week. Yeah. Booking shows and it's very, very tough. Yeah. As I'm sure you're a side guy as well, and that can get really busy.
It can, yeah. Right now, like, I guess kind of full time. Yeah, it's 3 bands. Yeah, as a side man, and then I do have original material.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I remember you released
a couple singles. Yeah,
a couple tunes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like five of them out right now. I've been struggling to find scheduling that works for the people that I really want to have in the band. Yeah. Because not everybody lives in town. Right. And that makes it tough.
And everyone has other projects.
Yeah. Well, because the band is built up of side people.
Yes.
So, myself included. And so that is a pain in the ass.
The days of, and I've talked to a lot of folks lately, and it's like the day of the touring band is kind of past us. It's like I feel like these days I have a roster of musicians I can call on if I need them. So if I book a show, I've got 5 bass players, 5 drummers. Yep. For example, and I love working with each one of them individually so dearly.
Yeah, of course.
But it's really handy to have 8 different people that know your music that are only on 2 different instruments.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to, because most people, well, I mean, you do a lot of side work too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Like, we're all kind of hired guns in one way or another, and I also do session work too, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I figured. Actually, have you done any cool sessions lately?
I did a session for. I got asked to do a session for James McKenty with Carl Lawson.
Oh, cool.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm still working on the tunes.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many tracks are you doing?
Just one, I think, for now.
For now.
Cool. For now.
Sure.
I think.
I get it. We can't say too much.
That's it's pretty in the works still, but I got asked to do that. I did another session at James's not that long ago. Did this country session.
Nice.
It's good. It's fun to do session work. And I've done stuff here too with David, like or Peterborough here with Everett. I forget his last name.
I don't know.
Producer.
Either. Yes.
I feel so bad now because I've worked with him multiple times, but
I haven't met him yet. But
fantastic.
Yeah.
Really good. And he's a guy that I really like working with because he tells me what I do wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of, really fantastic producers around. They're just like, no, do it again.
Yeah.
I want to be told if I'm not doing what is, wanted on a track.
Yeah. Well, it's to me, a good producer is a lot like a good friend.
Yeah.
Like, if I've got shit breath,
you need to tell me that I have shit breath.
Yeah. It's like, dude, go brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody that cares about you.
Exactly.
As opposed to someone that just goes like, oh yeah, cool. And then you walk away and they turn to their buddy and you're like, oh my God, that dude's been eating farts. You know, it's like,
yeah. Like, exactly.
I wanted a good example of that. Actually, a buddy of mine, he's the MD for the Bowie Lives project.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I was slacking off on practicing my backing vocals for Modern Love because I hate that song.
Right.
And it's just too repetitive for me personally.
Yeah.
I know people love it. I know I'm the minority. I know I'm wrong, but I hate that song. And I just had not been practicing my vocal line. And he called me up and he starts with like the compliment sandwich. And I was like, just tell me what I'm fucking up, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah. I don't want to walk around all day being wrong.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yep.
Tell me what it is. I'll go fix it. Problem solved, right? Now, maybe that's, I don't know, a mental disorder in some way where I just don't give a shit about feelings. But
I'm the same way. Like, if it comes between, like, your personal relationship and your professional relationship can be separate.
Yeah.
If you work with your best friend, I'm still gonna, talk to you as if we're coworkers, in a band situation. Like, you have to be professional.
Of course.
Right? And you can be buddies on the job. It's great. But if it ends up getting in the way,
Yeah. Well, and it can go the other way, too, where some people are
almost too
like
professional.
vindictive about it. And it's like,
there is a really good balance.
Yeah.
And a lot of the folks that I've been gigging with have been really, really good like that.
Yeah.
Most of them really.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you're in a really cool sphere of people.
Yeah.
So
there's
a little bit of a Venn diagram there with the folks that I get to work with as well, which is
odd,
nice.
It's so odd the kind of pool that I'm in right now.
Dude, it's awesome. Well, like, who are some of the cats that you're sitting with right now?
I don't even know. Like, there's just, I'm going to Toronto like 3 days out of the week. Just to gig, like Jesse.
Yeah.
I gig with Jesse a lot. I'm actually heading down tomorrow to gig at the
nice.
local with Jesse.
Who else is on that?
Matt Greco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jesse and Matt live together.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? I did know that. Does Clayton still live with them?
Clayton, so Matt lives in Clayton's old place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great, they're really, really great about when I come down to. Greco really is super sweet about letting me crash, and
nice.
It's mutual here. I let him, stop
course.
by at my place anytime he's around. He's just a ball,
Yeah.
So it's nice. I get to go down and gig these crazy fun tunes. Like, we're doing, Dr. John stuff and Louis Prima and like, 50s rock and roll stuff and then New Orleans or R&B stuff, and I get to get my kicks, kind of.
Yeah.
See crazy shows like this place, man. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Cameron House.
I love playing there.
That's the place. That
It's
is
so
the
fun.
place. If there is anywhere in Toronto, for sure, the hub for live music is the Cameron House.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
There's a handful of really fun places. Cameron House,
Horseshoe. Local's great.
Yeah. Elmo's back.
Yep, I heard. Grossman's.
Yeah.
This place in the East End we do a residency at, Noonan's. Used to be Dora Keogh.
Oh.
Irish
okay.
pub.
Yeah.
Really fantastic spot.
Sweet. I haven't been in since it changed ownership.
Yeah.
So
It's really good.
Which was probably, I don't know how long ago that was. It's been
I
a
don't know
while.
either. It was like 7 years ago.
Oh my God.
Maybe.
That makes
I
me
don't
feel
know.
so old.
No. Well, even just what we were talking about,
Yeah.
like 2020 was 5 years ago.
I know.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Shit. Well, what year were you born?
2004.
Fuck, dude.
And it's 2025. I get existential about this all the time.
It's so
Like, what if we are really living in a simulation and I'm just like floating around amongst, I don't know, it could be a whole thing.
It could be. Okay, so speaking of simulation theory, this is something that kind of helps me. If we are, what does that change for you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just play your guitar, smoke a joint, smile.
That's it.
Hang with your friends, hug your family.
Do it.
You know,
you have to.
Because there's all that kind of stuff. Like, what if, and I don't believe this, but a ton of people espouse, at least on the internet anyway, flat Earth and shit.
Yeah.
And the ice wall and all that.
Sure.
It's like, what does that fucking change about what I'm doing right now?
Realistically, I'm probably not even going to leave the continent anytime soon. Like maybe, let alone think about what's on the other side of the Earth if it's flat.
Yeah.
It's just not something that crosses my brain. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Doesn't change the way I play music. It doesn't change the way
I'm still going to go play guitar, and that's going to be that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we're still going to love each other and play music, and everyone's going to be merry and grand. Yeah. I suppose. I hope.
Yeah. Well, it'd be sweet if that was just how everybody operated.
Yeah. Because would be nice.
Every once in a while, people get a little chip on their shoulder about one thing or another. But I don't know. It just something that is a few things that have been helping is like I'm just being busy. Honestly, really helps. Yep. I'm like, I don't have fucking time.
No.
So I'm just, I got sessions to, luckily, because I've got all the recording gear in the basement, I can fly tracks most places.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is sweet because I can get paid in my pajamas, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
But, it's like either I've got tracks to do or I have to practice this song or I got to finish writing whatever. I got a podcast to do with someone that I haven't seen in way too long.
Totally,
and it's like fucking A, or someone I've never met before, which is happening more lately, which is cool.
Right on.
But just I'm too fucking busy to get bent out of shape for extended periods of time.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah,
because during the lockdowns, it was pretty easy to dwell on nonsense.
It got dark really quick.
Sure did.
It got dark really quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It did.
I don't know about you, man, but I was this close to getting back on SSRIs.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why I got on them, man.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I just like, it's good now. Yeah. But during like that first lockdown period, I was like, and being 14 years old, 15 years old, I think it was 15 at the time. Like even thinking back on those times now, I'm just like, oh my God, I was such an angsty teenager. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's a weird, man, I hadn't even considered.
I was a little shithead, man.
Well, to be fair, most teenage boys are little shitheads. Yeah. I was a shithead until I was about 27.
Yeah.
So if you're not a shithead anymore, then you're ahead of the curve, my man. We can
air fist bump, it ain't no thing. But no, it was like looking back on those times. And I mean, I've had a really different perspective on mental health lately. Yeah. And being generally.
Yeah. Ooh, spring reverb.
Spring. It was just like I was so down in the dumps at the time. Yeah. And that's why the 2 meter cheaters were a thing. My mom actually called Rob and Matt and Brandon and was like, come over, stand in the driveway and play with Nicholas if you would like to. Yeah. Are you like, because we hadn't played together in it'd been a month at that point, like a month straight.
Yeah.
Of no playing music with anyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, after COVID and after I started, getting help for that stuff.
Yeah.
It's really, and I'm about a year and a half in now on antidepressants, and they're fine.
Cool.
Nice. I have no problem with them until I found the right thing.
Yeah.
It
needs to get dialed in for sure.
Yeah.
And
took me a bit, but I mean, I feel good on them now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I bounced around on a bunch of them when I was younger, and none of them really, at least for me, nothing really clicked the right way. Like, it took out all the lows, which was nice, but literally everything else was just flatline, and just gray, and kind of messed with my dangle a little bit.
Sure.
Which was concerning as a 20-year-old man. It's just like, my dick don't work right.
Sure.
Just like, and let's be real, a whole lot of your or at least for me anyway at the time, a lot of my self-perception was tied up in that.
Sure.
It was
Yeah.
like, oh my
totally.
God. And so it's funny, actually. I've been off antidepressants for... Shit, I'm almost 40. I got off them when I was 22, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing, and I'm not saying that this is the solve for everybody, but I changed a whole bunch of shit. Like I changed my sleeping patterns, I changed my diet, I changed my fitness, like not even just fitness, but physicality, just moving my body and trying to get outside. Vitamin D has a surprising impact on your disposition.
Oh, yeah.
So just by altering that kind of stuff, that made a huge difference for me. I do have to be extremely strict about it. Like, I go to, there's a martial arts gym that I train at. I was pointing the wrong way. I'm used to being at my house. It's that way.
Okay.
There's a martial arts gym I train at called World Championship Martial Arts, and I'm there almost every day.
Right.
So, I mean, unless I'm gigging, in which case, sometimes I'm gone for way longer than I like to be. But I still try to, even on the road, I try to stay active.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not quite the same, but it's like, at least I've got like a candle burning in there so that the darkness doesn't completely surround everything, but made a big difference. But I hear you about the lockdowns too, man. Like there was one day when it was the one really long stretch of no gigging, and I was it's like 4:00 in the morning, and I'm just circling the dining room table in the dark. My wife comes downstairs. She goes, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I literally said, and I'll never forget this, I just looked at her and said, "I don't know who I am." Like, because at that time, I had my first residency at 14, and I'd never taken more than a month off of gigging.
Right.
Since I was 14 up until, 2020. So I would have been 35 in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'd never taken on more than a month. And I was like, I don't know who I am or what I'm
ever gonna do
doing.
again.
Like this is like my entire identity is
it is
attached to getting on a stage and getting approval from strangers because I need to be told I'm a good boy, damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I will say once I got my shit together though, I became extremely creative during those times.
Right.
It was like, I got to do something.
Yep.
Got to do something. Did you get a lot of writing done?
I got a lot of writing done. Well, I shouldn't say I got a lot of writing done. We recorded my first album in the summer of 2020.
Yes. What album was that?
Livin' and Other Western Ideas.
Got to get the promos.
Yes. And that was a lot of fun. It was nice. It was, a bunch of us were just like, I think there might have been, it wasn't a lot of people at all.
Yeah.
I think in total there was only 4 or 5 players, and then we had one track flown, or a couple steel guitar tracks flown in from a player in Hamilton. Chris Altman played steel on the first record.
Nice.
Yeah. So good.
He's killer at everything.
Yeah.
His voice is insane, huh?
Yeah. I love his records, man.
Yeah. He's so good.
Great album.
If you don't know Chris Altman, go check him out. Like
immediately.
Yeah. Pause this and go find Chris Altman. He's fucking wild. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, and it was just like a couple of us were just like, yeah, let's make a record. Why not? And it was a really, really good pilot album. It was a fun experience, like being 15 years old and learning how to make an album.
That's so cool. Where did you do it?
At Brandon Humphrey's home studio.
Oh, okay.
When he was still living in town.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Very cool. So would that have been over on, what was it, Euclid, maybe?
Antrim, I think.
Antrim, that's right.
Yeah.
I knew it was a flower.
Yeah, it was a flower. And yeah, it was a great, like, it was so much fun to make.
Nice.
Good pilot for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really surprisingly full sounding.
Yeah.
For a,
it's just like set up in his living room.
Yeah.
We just basically, that's where the studio was in the living room. We just set up. It was great. A little room. Well, you'd seen it like this size, right?
Yeah. Played in there many times.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and then your how long was it till the next album?
Last year, so 2023. Yeah. No,
24.
24.
Or 25.
Recorded in 23.
Okay, so came out in 24. Where'd you do that one?
With James McKenty.
Okay, I thought so. It sounds. His room has a sound.
It does. So it's very warm.
Yes, very much so.
And it was funny. It was Rob Foreman, Mac Greco, Shy Peer, and I.
I thought it was Shy. There were a couple of piano licks. I was like, guys,
recorded live.
The
whole album is live. The only overdubs on that record are the pedal steel, a couple vocals, a couple acoustic guitars, but like the band is totally live.
Nice.
You know,
I might be getting some stuff mixed up. Are there not some violin tracks on that?
Yeah, okay. yeah.
Those
so Melissa Payne.
Okay, I thought.
She sang on "Prisoner" and played fiddle parts.
Yes. Okay, because I could hear. There were some falsetto.
Yeah.
That you could hear some falsetto male backing vocals, but then on "Prisoner" specifically, I'm like, that's a lady, and I'll bet $10 that's Melissa.
Yeah,
because you guys work together quite a bit.
Oh yeah. She has me playing guitar in her band quite a bit, which is a lot of fun. I've been doing that for about 2 years now. Yeah, 3 years now.
She's awesome.
She is the best. Yeah. Totally.
Or when Emily put out Arrow, you and Melissa were really, really nice and came and you guys jammed. And Caitlin got up with you, and she's killer too.
Yeah.
Actually, she was on the show. Her episode, and this is going to kind of divulge how far and ahead these are all recorded.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter when her episode's already out.
Okay.
So never mind. Her episode's out. She came on. She's such a killer singer. Holy crap. And she keeps getting better at instrumentation as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like her guitar playing's gotten way when she and I first started hanging out, I don't think she played guitar really at all. And I think she was maybe just starting to mess around with keys a little bit, but yeah, she's really, I mean, her voice has always been stellar.
Totally.
But her instrumentation's really leveling up too, which is awesome.
Big time. And it's cool to have them singing on like at my shows too. We did that show at Market Hall, and I had Blue Hazel come out, like Misha and Caitlin and Rico come out and do backing vocals. And Melissa singing backing vocals as well, and it was just like, oh my god, I'm so like grateful, you know. I can't believe it, you know, dude. I get imposter syndrome so much. Oh my god,
I was gonna ask.
Oh, I hate it. I think
that is, if channeled the right way, I think it's useful.
Sure,
because I'll be honest, man, I have it deeply. Deeply. I don't know why anybody hires me to do anything. I don't know why I don't know why I was given a radio show. It's stupid. Like, I'm a dumb bass player that says and plays dumb things, and I'm happy about it. Like, I love doing what I'm doing.
Sure,
but it's like, what? And then people take lessons from me, and I'm like, this is how,
music.
This is how music works. At least at this, introductory level, and then try to tier them up as you go. But it's like, but then you hang out with certain people, or just even listening to your stuff this morning. There are some runs that you're doing. I was like, that was really fucking cool, and I can't play that. I mean, like, not without a shit ton of practice on one run.
Sure.
It's like, that one run would probably take me, I don't know, like, if you showed it to me, obviously faster, but it's like, if I just tried to ear that out, that would probably take me like 6, 7, 8 hours just to ear it properly.
Oh, sure.
And like, oh my God. And this dude's 20 years younger than me. It's like, which I know age doesn't matter, but if you think like, I've got 20 years experience on somebody, but then there's freaks like you, they can just, obviously it's not, you can just do shit. I'm not trying to dismiss the hard work.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just certain people have, their starting line is further ahead than others.
Yeah.
Like, my starting line was in the locker room.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been a struggle to be mediocre. So the imposter syndrome I get that.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing is that if you know that about yourself, it diminishes any ego that you could have. You know, that's so interesting. I've never heard anyone criticize themselves in that aspect.
Audio dropout. What does that mean? Rut-row,
raggy.
Hang on. Okay. Let's see if we can. No way.
Could you file or edit undo?
I'm afraid to. Hang on. Oh my goodness. Luckily there is audio capture on these cameras.
Amazing.
So we're not losing. This is still happening.
Hello.
So that's good. Let's go back in here. Ladies and gentlemen. We've got our first real doozy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Are we back? It looks like it's
Check
back.
1 2.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I mean,
Okay.
yeah. There's the bug.
Yeah.
There's the bug.
There's the first one.
Yep.
And that was a monster cockroach.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a strong possibility we're using the audio off of these cameras for like the first half of our conversation.
Well, that's
Hooray.
hooray. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is part of the reason why I have imposter syndrome.
Yes.
But just in case if the audio was really fucked up, we were talking about imposter syndrome and how it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And sorry, that bug interrupted you. You were saying
Yes, I was saying that I can imagine it would be tough to have an ego about yourself if you're worrying that you aren't proficient enough.
Oh, so yes.
You know,
other than like, you ever finish writing something and there's that split second of like wicked, grandiose, self-congratulatory.
Oh yeah,
just like, and then so I still get that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then I immediately feel gross. I really do liken it to. Oh God, this is embarrassing because I have family that listens to this. But fuck it. You ever watch some porn and jerk off to something and then you're like, what is wrong with me? That's kind of like it's that post-nut clarity that people call it.
That's what the thing is. Yeah, that is a trend. Yeah.
You finish writing or I finish writing something and I'll do that thing with I'm a musical genius. Then I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why would I ever have that thought? Because
you are so incredibly humble, and I love it.
Well, thank you. But I think
I guess is humble the word? Maybe.
Self-deprecating is definitely there. But I mean, well, I think about it like this. I get to call Sam and Ryan Weber friends of mine. Rico's a really, really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So is Marcus Brown is one of my best friends. I'm hanging out with you right now. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty for the people that I get to chill with, and that's not even like my Toronto friends. Like that's just my Peterborough pals. I mean, I'm in a band with a dude named Michael Beauclair, who's a phenomenal drummer.
Yeah.
I get to play with just insane musicians. I was in Toronto a couple weeks ago hanging out with Alana Hart, who is do you know her?
I recognize the name for sure.
She's unreal.
Yeah.
Her voice is stupidly good. And just it's easy to be reminded of my position on the totem pole because I'm surrounded by freaks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right. Oh, just for anybody listening, that's when a musician calls another musician a freak, it's a serious compliment. It's not a derogatory thing.
Indeed.
Just in case. It's like those memes going around of the little kid that's like, so if you see this face, it's the highest paid compliment.
Yeah.
That's what that is like. And it's not an angry thing. It's like, for whatever reason, when a musician typically hears something really, really slick, we get stank face. I don't know why, but we all get that, like, oh yeah. Fuck yeah. So at least for me, it's really easy to keep the ego in check. Also, I had my ego shattered in college.
Yeah.
Shattered.
That would do it.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Yeah.
That would do it. Yeah. And that's it. There's always one. I mean, I feel like I've had mine, I feel like I had my ego shattered at a point.
Nice. Do you remember the moment?
I don't think I totally recall it, but I'm sure I have, I feel like when I was coming up, like people would come up and shit on me, it's like,
like to your face?
Yeah. Even coming up as like 13, 14, 15, people were always, you'd always get the odd guy that's like, well, you should get a fucking real job. What are you ever going to do with music? You think you're so good?
Yeah. Well, that's a dude that hates his life.
I know. And just, people always say shit that sometimes kind of sticks.
Yeah.
And I just started caring less.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm doing it for the wrong reason if I'm only doing it for the money and fame,
Yeah, for sure.
It's great to make a living playing music, but it's not like I pride myself on, I've shared the stage with all these people and I'm so incredible because I've done that. And it's like, no, I just, I like making music with my friends and I get to do it with some pretty cool friends of mine sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I get it. It's not everybody gets to, and it can be a jealousy thing, but it's like, being arrogant about it isn't going to help me much more than,
well, no,
not. So why do it in the first place?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, to the point of the arrogance not helping, I feel like if you have, and I don't mean you specifically,
sure.
I think the royal you, if anybody has the opinion that they're already awesome, you're less likely to grow at least at the same rate as if you're feeling like you don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
And you can't do enough yet, which, I'm always stoked when I learn how to do something new.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck yeah.
And confident in it, and you're like, sweet.
Yeah, I can pull this off live now.
Yeah, but it's not like I am so good because I can pull it off live.
It's like, okay, this is one more tool in the toolbox
that
is going to help me give a better show to people that, depending on how old they are, maybe they got a babysitter. What if they went to dinner first? They paid for parking. They bought a ticket. Like, for depending on the outing for some people, that's an expensive night.
Yeah.
And I don't want them walking away going like, it was okay.
Yep.
I want them to leave going like, worth every penny, and I would have paid more. That's what I want people to feel. Because when I go out, like, there's nothing that pisses me off more than, say, going to a restaurant and they bring you your plate and you take a bite and you're like, I can make this better at home.
Yeah.
That's infuriating.
Sure.
Right? And I don't want anybody to feel that way, having like seen me on stage and then leaving and going, I can play better in my basement.
Yep.
Which I'm sure a lot of people can.
Yeah.
I'm sure tons of people can play better in their basement than I can play on stage. But I also want to give a show too. You know what I mean? So.
And that's the thing, is it's a performance. It's art.
Yes.
The difference between playing in a basement and not that it's not creating art, but we're expressing it on a higher scale than just playing.
Yeah.
In a space, right? Like we're putting on shows for people and making people feel, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, there's consequence to
there is.
Screwing up.
There is.
And
yeah, I've
pulled off stuff in the basement when nobody's around looking at me or listening, and I'm like, why don't I play like this on stage? Like, God damn. But, then whatever that is, and I don't know if you do this, but I try really hard to record almost all my practices.
Okay.
It's a horrifically bitter pill to listen back to, by the way. Ugh. But every once in a while, you're like, that's dope.
Yeah.
I should
focus on that.
Yeah, and then try to recreate. Or also, you're like, oh, my timing on quintuplets is dog shit.
Yeah.
I should really probably
Hone in.
practice these way more with the click at a considerably slower tempo so that I can actually start to nail those instead of thinking I'm doing an okay job because it's in the moment. You're full of adrenaline.
Yep.
You're having a good time. And then, the critical ear, at least for me, is not the same in the moment as it is on the kind of an externalized listen back to. And you're like, ugh, yikes.
And it is too, like I've found practicing, I don't have a good practice routine.
No?
I have trouble practicing. I don't have trouble practicing, but I just don't know what to. And until actually my partner got me a real like vintage metronome for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And the way I used to practice, I would put earbuds in or headphones on and like crank a metronome up.
Right.
And it's all I can hear. And I mean, yeah, it really nailed it into my brain. Mm-hmm. But I had no dynamic.
Yeah, I was smashing to get over the click.
Smash, exactly. So until playing with an actual metronome properly, that's what I was saying. Like I feel better about playing now, just even from practicing. Like, more confident, more confident.
In terms of dynamic drills, it's way harder than you might expect it to be. Mm-hmm. But like,
oh yeah,
take for anybody that's working on this kind of stuff, start slow. And this is going to sound really, really mundane and monotonous and kind of not fun, but something that I've done quite a bit of, especially during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
I would throw a metronome on it like 60, 70 beats a minute, and I would literally just play quarter notes and start almost inaudibly quiet, and then the next bar try to raise it up just a little and just try to notch how intense I'm getting, and then bring it back down the other side, and then shorten the amount of time in which those are happening. And then a brutal one that I'm still bad at, but I'm working on is I don't know, take 16th notes really slow at first so you can dial it in, and only accent the downbeat, then only accent, because if you're a dork and you count your 16th notes out, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and you only accent the downbeat on the number, and then the next time around only accent the E, then only accent the and, then only accent the then accent them in eighths so that it's 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, then accent them 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, and it's like, and then only accent like the 1 and the so like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, and it's like and just writing a singular note, because I don't have the mental capacity to even do anything with my left hand at that point, and it's just it's 5 minutes is as long as I can survive that.
Oh yeah,
but it's like, okay, cool, got my 5 minutes in. Now let's, I don't know, play some Tool or something. Do something like completely. But then what's cool is I'm sure you've noticed, is that sort of shit starts to seep into your playing, and it's almost subconscious. And totally. And it's, there are I'm hyper competitive. I don't know if you know that, but hyper competitive. We should never play Mario Kart together. Right. But I'm super competitive with myself even, and I've got a practice journal, and every day I'll write down, so I'll have a specific drill that I'm working on, and I'll have the rhythmic subdivision that I was doing that drill on, and I give myself 5 minutes per rhythmic subdivision. Okay. And whatever BPM I get to within that 5 minutes for that day is as far as I get. But I track it, and I've got it. It's a physical ledger, basically, and I track it, and I look at it at the end of every week, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I've improved this, whatever that rhythmic subdivision is, by this many BPM.
Right.
And when, at least for me, when I see the numbers going up, it's almost like points.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. It's getting better. Even though they're still humiliatingly slow. It's like, okay.
Well, even still.
Yeah. It's like, cool, 5 BPM.
Totally.
Sweet. It moved.
Yeah.
Moved the needle a little bit. So, but that's the other thing too. Like, there's nothing more humbling musically than recording yourself with a metronome on and listening back to it and seeing how either close or not,
yeah,
as the case typically is for me, to that, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
fuck me.
I had a rehearsal with my one of my live band outfits for a show we have coming up, and a couple other shows too. We got a run coming up in April that we're getting excited about, but we're doing the show at the Horseshoe, the 24th of February with Les Green.
I know that name.
He sang, so he did Little Richard singing in the newest Elvis movie, like the Baz Luhrmann movie.
Oh, okay.
He sang the Little Richard tunes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
so I'm
awesome.
very excited.
You're opening, or
we're opening for him.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
That'll be a fun one. And I recorded the band rehearsing our 60-minute set.
Yep.
To tape.
Nice.
To cassette.
Oh, okay.
And then digitized it and listened back, and it was like, it sounded really good. It was great to hear the rehearsal and all the, all of my clams especially, but all the parts being formed and put together for the tunes.
Yeah,
really honing in on what I need to work on.
Sure.
So I'm planning already to cut like a master rehearsal tape to blank tapes and give them to the band members.
Nice.
Instead of just sending them an MP3 file or a WAV file. You gotta do the work to hear the rehearsal, and I don't know. I'm a hard ass like that in the band.
That's nothing wrong with that, man.
Jeannie, my partner, she's always like, Nick, you're such a fucking hard ass. Like, leave your band alone. And I'm like, no, man, I just want to get the work done. I don't know. I don't mean to be a hard ass if I am. I can't tell.
A ship needs a captain, dude.
Sure. Totally.
So
someone's got to steer the bus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if I know what I want to hear and I can communicate that to a band, that's how we make our shows happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I am quite certain your band is full of killer fucking players, but even if somebody's like kind of off, and this is something that I think that newer players need to hear too, is that nobody, when listening to a band, if somebody's making errors, nobody's thinking, oh, that drummer screwed up or that bass player screwed up. They're just thinking this band sucks.
Yeah. If they don't know if they don't know what they're listening, if they're like a casual music listener, they're not thinking about who is not quite on point. They're just thinking overall, this isn't meshing. Yeah.
And it's the band's fault, right?
Sure.
And especially, like, I'm assuming it's the Nicholas Campbell band.
Yeah.
So your name's on it. Why wouldn't you,
be running the ship? Yeah.
Well, yeah. And also letting people know, yes, keep doing that. Change this, Well,
and I love, participation too. Like, I don't want to be that band leader that's just like, fuck you, do your job.
Yeah.
It's like, I love when folks, but if someone's not, contributing in a positive way, it's like, you can't have that in a group,
Yeah.
If it's getting out of hand and things are getting tense or there's arguments happening and it's like, it can get tough.
Yeah.
Bands, what a friend of mine said it, forget who said it, but band members are, what do you say, just more than family, but just less than a spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on the band, might be your spouse.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I know quite a few musicians that are, if not like quote unquote legally married, they might as well be,
sure. Oh yeah.
So it's just, that's got to be a tricky one. My older brother and I, we played in bands together forever.
Yeah.
And legitimately stuff got physical sometimes when we were young. you get big enough and you're like, oh, we're really hurting each other. We can't do this anymore. But that kind of shit would happen, and you got to be aware. It's like it can get tricky.
It can get hairy.
They can. At least for the camera stuff. I don't know. Again, bugs are getting worked out.
Yep.
We are at 58 minutes. Real quick, tell everybody where you're going to be playing next, where they can find you online, all your social media, and where they can consume your music.
Yeah, well, everything's on Spotify and every kind of streaming service, Apple Music and Amazon and all that good jazz that makes us no money. I'm only kidding. No, you can listen to all of the stuff on streaming. NicholasCampbellmusic.com is the website. Yeah, any kind of socials, Facebook, Instagram, Nicholas Campbell Music. When are we playing next? I guess the Horseshoe. That'll be the next Nicholas Campbell show. But I've got a bunch of sideman work coming up.
Nice.
Soon I'll be playing with Washboard Hank.
Nice.
Be playing with my partner Jeannie Truax. What else have I got? Ooh, Harmony for Healing at Market Hall.
Yes.
Got that coming up. Yeah, some nice shows.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much to Pet Rock Radio for putting this out, to Treble Clock Studios for having us in the studio. Thank you to Mad Sound Dynamics for sponsoring the show. And Nick, always a pleasure to get to hang out with you, man.
Likewise.
If you're cool to stick around, we'll do some overtime stuff and we'll throw it up on the streaming platform and maybe jam or something.
Rock on. Yeah, I'd love to.
Even just noodle and talk about some playing stuff.
Guitars.
I'm interested to see, because you were talking about some of the new stuff you're working on. So I'd be interested to pick your brain on what you're doing.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Hey, what's up, 646 listeners? It's Dawson McManus here, holding it down on the low end as a bass player. And I can tell you, I know the struggle. You're grooving along, you're locking into the drums, everything's perfect, and then wham! You're totally drowned out by the cymbals. It's a total vibe killer. I know I'm not alone. That's why I'm super stoked to tell you about the Mad Cymbal Shields by Mad Sound Dynamics. Mad Cymbal Shields are a total game changer. They're designed to control volume and harshness without killing the natural tone. That means drummers can still go all out with their energy and passion, while the rest of us, bass players, singers, guitarists, keyboardists, etc., actually hear ourselves in the mix. And sound engineers, they are gonna love you for cutting down on the cymbal bleed from literally every other mic on stage. Drummers, listen up. Don't hold back. Play with the intensity and the power and the passion that drives the tune without overpowering the band. With Mad Cymbal Shields, you can let loose while keeping everything balanced. Trust me, your bass player and everybody else on stage is gonna thank you for it. And because you are part of the 646 family, Mad Sound Dynamics is giving you a special exclusive deal. Use the promo code 646 at checkout on madsounddynamics.com and get 10% off of your order. That's right, better sound for the whole band and at a discount just for tuning in. Looking for the perfect gift for your drummer? Give them something everyone will thank you for. Check out madsounddynamics.com today, and don't forget to use the promo code 646 to get your 10% off. Mad Cymbal Shields, Mad Sound Dynamics, because great music starts with balance. Let's get back to the show. 10 seconds.
All right.
Not even. Fuck it. Let's just do it now. Hey, we're in overtime. It's that easy. So yeah, cool. That was fun. Let's talk about the writing process, because I'm always interested, especially for genres that I am not as well versed in, like rockabilly and country music. That is just so outside of my wheelhouse for not only performance, which like I've played in country bands and stuff, and I've played rockabilly tunes and whatnot, but it's only, I don't know. It's not like I'm actively avoiding it, but I've never done a deep dive. I think that's how a lot
of folks are. Like, it is out there, but it's just not, it's not something that crosses people's brains much.
Yeah.
It's a really cool genre of music. I love rockabilly music so much for what the music is. It's so cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Makes your body move kind of music. And the only stuff that I know about it is what I have had to learn for the stage. And I wish I had more time for pleasure listening for stuff.
Sure.
But I don't.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but is what it is. So anyway, when you're setting out to write a tune for you? I'm sure everybody's got a slightly different process.
Sure.
But when you're going to write something, how do you typically go about it? I'm just curious.
So my writing is really funny. I come up with a subject matter in my head. I make up a story or a situation in my head, or real life influence.
Yeah, of course.
And then tell a story about it in a song. Like that's how I try to write a lot of my stuff. Like shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I didn't was a funny one. Pat Temple told me one day, you should write a song called I shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I didn't. And I think it was 2021.
Okay.
When that happened, when he told me that. And I think I was in grade 11, grade 12, grade 11. Yeah. No, grade 12. It was so long ago now, I can't remember.
Sure.
Anyhow.
Wait, if you were in grade 12, wouldn't you have been 17?
Yeah, so my birthday's in September.
Okay.
I have a late birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
seeing this gal and things didn't work out, and I was like, fuck. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I didn't. And literally wrote the song about what happened.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Not directly quoting anything that happened, but, still loosely basing it on what, the story, right?
Yeah.
Just writing about something. Not necessarily like I have to write a verse, a chorus.
Yeah,
it's just like whatever comes out.
Yeah.
But with rockabilly, it's weird because it's so simple, and there aren't, there's no rules, but there are so many rules. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like you can write a rockabilly song that would have a bunch of jazz changes for sure. I'm sure you could. But someone's gonna probably pick a song like "My Gal Is Red Hot," which is a 12-bar over that to be more rockabilly.
Yeah.
Right. And it just so happens, same with country.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool country music from the 60s that I'm diving into more now. I've really dove into the 60s thing. I really like the 60s thing, the early 60s, like the turn of the century in music. Like I'm loving Roy Orbison's early stuff, the Everly Brothers late stuff.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly stuff right before he died, all that kind of stuff. 59, 60, 61 is my era right now. And I've been writing in that style quite a bit.
Cool.
Like He Said, She Said.
Right.
Is very much like I was trying to write, kind of an early Beatles sounding tune.
Right.
I don't care about the he said, she said, like a hooky pop line, but, rock and roll band behind it.
Yeah.
It's really cool music.
There's also kind of like almost an R&B influenced sensibility to the vocal melody.
Totally.
I noticed.
Totally. Yeah. I'm really digging into the 60s thing.
Yeah. Very
now.
cool. So if you're doing a rockabilly thing, then if the 12-bar idea, which does seem to be like a really
universal,
common thread. Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly.
Totally.
So then in that case, it must be all about the head then. Right.
There is, and rockabilly back then in the 50s too, like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't just 12-bar, and it's all great, but it's so catchy and clever,
Yeah.
A lot of tunes just start out with vocals,
Right.
just shots over the one, and then go to the 4 and in comes the band.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of stuff, and just like weird production, like licks that you wouldn't think to play, or heads or intros or that kind of thing that just are kind of not linear to the mainstream popular music of the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I listen to 50s rockabilly and I'm so much like, how is this coming out of the 1950s? Like
Really?
this is so, it sounds like it, but it's just so odd. The style of music is so interesting to me.
I should check some of this because I'm super ignorant.
It's
Who
like
should I
punk
be
rock,
listening to?
Anything really from the 50s. Like a lot of people go to Elvis for rockabilly from the 50s, but
Sure.
there's so much. Like I've got a playlist on Spotify called Garbage Rockabilly that I've made, and it's just like trashy, gross. It's like the punk rock of the 50s.
Wow.
It's so cool. talking about like crazy, subject matter.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you forward me that?
Totally.
Playlist? Thank
Totally.
You. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
It's a very cool playlist, and the songs are so interesting. Nothing that would fly today at all.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of people. I shouldn't say that, but a lot of songwriters now, like, even I did it. Like, everyone tries to chase what the 50s was, and you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
Because you weren't there.
Because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Unless someone who was there is, but the music that came out of that era, every era really, like, it's so, I wouldn't even think to hear something like that today.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's so interesting. And the rockabilly stuff especially, like, you dig into the deep cuts and they're like, ugh, it kind of makes you, ugh.
A little cringy, almost like
not even cringy, but just like, this is so gritty and dirty.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like a visceral reaction.
Yeah, totally visceral reaction. Yeah.
Wow, cool. Sorry, cringe is the totally wrong adjective.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so grungy kind of.
That's awesome.
Do you know of Bloodshot Bill?
I don't.
So Bloodshot Bill, he's from Montreal.
Okay.
He was he's a rockabilly guy. And I think he records all his own stuff, or
cool.
at least the studio that he does record with or at. Like, everything is just overdriven.
Right.
Like, all the mic preamps are in the red the whole time. Like, you can hear it. The echo is just like drowning out the whole band. And it's like that was the whole point of that kind of music, is like, you listen to the production from the 50s and it's like someone stomped on the microphone and just put the output on the echo at 10. Like, it's so good. And that's the whole thing about it, right?
That's cool.
It's really hard to recreate.
So you're right about that. That is very punk rock then.
Yeah, very punk rock. And Bloodshot Bill is a guy that does it really, really well. I love him. He's so good.
I'm gonna definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, it's the punk. It's like the roots of punk.
That's
right,
so cool.
Because you listen to the Ramones, and it's like they were just doing 1950s tunes, but crazy overdriven.
Yeah,
so cool.
That's
so
sweet.
Cool.
Huh. Something I do want to. Sorry, because sometimes when musicians start talking, we use a lot of jargon.
Right.
And there are some non-players.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but there are some non-players that listen to this. A 12 bar.
Yes.
We should explain
a 12-bar blues.
Yeah. Why don't you explain what that is for people that don't know?
Yes. So 12-bar progression. It's a chord progression in a song that I guess you can create songs with.
Yeah.
But it's only 12 bars of music just over and over and over again. And it's just the same every time.
Yeah. It's 12 bars, 3 chords.
Yeah.
If you think about anybody that's ever heard, or if you're familiar with the movie The Sound of Music,
yes,
that do-a-deer, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Hopefully this is generic enough for people to get. Do is your first note, which generates your first chord. Do, re, mi, fa is your fourth. So would be your fifth.
5.
So you've got your do, fa, and so.
Yep.
And you're just going to cycle between those 3 chords for 12 bars.
Yeah. And then repeat.
Yeah.
Or not, maybe.
Or not.
But the universal 12-bar progression is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. A head is a musical motif that you kind of keep coming back to. And licks are just different cool melodic phrases thrown in throughout the piece that may or may not repeat. You don't have to repeat a lick.
Solos,
Yeah, exactly.
Solos are made up of licks.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a straight up solo. Like, well, shoot, in a lot of your tunes, there'll be like a vocal thing. There'll be like a little lick either in between vocal ideas, or sometimes the lick will be supporting the vocal.
Yep. Motifs.
Yeah, motifs. Yeah. So just in case you were wondering what the hell we were talking about, I hope that sort of clears it up.
Yeah. I think that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Totally.
And for anybody else that goes, I know. Sorry, that segment wasn't for you.
There you go. You can just skip to this moment on screen and no, I'm just kidding.
About an hour 10.
Hour 10, yeah.
And then you won't have to have your, early music lesson.
Yes.
So
after an hour and 10 minutes of jibber jabber.
Yeah. there's some technical jibber jabber.
Yes.
And really honestly not that technical.
No.
It's pretty standard fare.
Pretty face value.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is when you're coming up with a head or a lick or a motif or like something
And for no reason, just like sitting and
More audio.
it's a guitar. Hey.
Unbelievable. We're probably going heavy on the camera. Audio. This is making me so nervous. But I mean, it's still working there. I've got a bad feeling that.
None of our audio will have been saved from there, but we'll find out. But I can see the audio levels moving on the camera. So,
Well, that's good. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so you'll just noodle like that.
Sit and just try ideas.
Cool.
And then, if I hear something I like, I go back on it. Because a lot of that, too, is just licks.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Like, I have a couple licks that I do play over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, we've all
got those.
good old standbys.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But then again, it's just
like that.
I will sit
that minor third to the major third to the like.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the Chuck Berry thing.
Yep,
right?
sure is.
Yeah, like it's nice to just sit and try stuff. No pressure, just sitting around doing nothing and like just sitting and picking.
Yeah. And that helps you. I
Helps me
get
write
it.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nice.
And then like I overanalyze everything too. So if I'm trying to write something and it ends up getting weird, I'm just like, what are you doing? You don't need to go like 1 sharp 5,
Right.
2 6 flat 7. Just play a 1 4 5 and you'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think being analytical is. I think it's a really useful tool.
Yeah.
But it can. It's sort of like overthinking really much of anything. When you overthink too much, it just turns into.
Yeah.
It's a clusterfuck. It's gobbledygook by the end. You're like,
yeah,
what am I doing? And it's like, what sounds really good every time? A pentatonic.
Yeah, it does. And you can make that tasteful too. Like it. And when people think, when I was teaching, I was telling students that would ask me about soloing, it's like, get out of the box, I guess. Don't think in terms of scales.
Yeah.
Think in terms of the notes that you're playing in the scale. Mm-hmm. So if I'm just playing a pentatonic, it's like, well, that's my flat 3rd root, flat 7th, 5th, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can really see the note relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes if you like, if somebody's playing, I don't know, somebody plays a D minor and you play a B natural over that.
Yeah.
That major 6, it's going to give it a Dorian sound, which is going to make it sound a little bit more spacey, alien-y.
Yeah.
It's going to sound super dope.
Totally.
And
there is reason to why things happen
the
way they do.
And it can be with it. It's still in the scale, but it's not a chord tone.
No.
And that sounds rad.
Yeah.
Like only playing chord tones, at least for me, can get a little bit, well, like you were talking about getting out of the box.
Yeah.
It's a little boxy. Right?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. my favorite players are typically not super boxy play. Some of them are.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, I mean, I love me some BB King.
Totally. Just hanging on the root the whole time.
Yeah,
you know?
man. Yeah.
You know.
And then, pew.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Right. That's just great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Taste.
Yeah.
It's like a flavor explosion.
It is.
It's great.
Yeah. Sometimes there's nothing better to have on your plate than just a strawberry.
Yes.
Don't put anything, don't fug with it.
Correct.
Strawberries are delicious, you know, and so is that root note. That
Yep.
can be the tastiest thing.
And I can appreciate players who know when not to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's really important. It's a really important part about communicating live, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing when to leave space.
Oh my God. Huge.
Big time.
Huge.
Big time.
Because there's, man, it's a couple of things. One, if it's not your time to shine, it's just shh, right? Like if somebody's singing, you probably shouldn't be soloing at the same time that they're singing. Probably. Sure. I mean, obviously, sometimes there are really nice counterpoint melodies. And
well,
all that
yeah,
kind
and
of
like
stuff
country music was really big into that in the 50s. Like, a singer would be singing the melody and a fiddle would be playing a counterpoint melody.
Yeah.
You know, right over top of the vocals.
Yep. But not stepping on toes. So there's a real balance to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if somebody's just trying to blow their wad every single lick they know during
like a ballad,
oh, that's the worst, right?
It can get pretty hairy, I think.
Yeah. And then also, like when you were talking about in live performance, when it comes to be your turn to solo, and you've already shown every lick you've got before your solo, now what?
You got no licks.
Yeah, now you're all out.
Got no licks.
That well-run dry, baby.
Yeah, well-run dry. It is. I think what a lot of guitar players forget, like intermediate guitar players coming up, you know, like people I was teaching even.
Sure.
Like it was all about playing the guitar instead of playing the music, I guess. You know,
play the song.
Yeah, play the song instead of play the music to the song.
Yeah.
You know, and music, it's so important.
Yeah.
You know, the novelty of instruments is so, I should say the importance of music theory is so overlooked by the novelty of an instrument.
Sure.
I guess. In a lot of different contexts. Like, for example, music being a real career.
Yeah.
You know, people are just like, well, anyone can play guitar. You know, I'll pay my cousin $50 to play Wagon Wheel at our wedding. I'm not paying you, you know, this much. It's like, well, no, it's, you know, we're going to play Wagon Wheel perfectly to the recording.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Better than you've ever heard anybody else do it in front of you.
Unless you're going to the concert.
Yeah.
You know, to see Darius Rucker do it live or Oak Crow Medicine Show or whoever.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we're going to do it completely perfectly. Like, yeah, like we're live musicians. We're not robots.
Yeah, flubs happen,
but that's the magic of live music because you're paying for that magic. You're that's the whole point of music. It's like I can't. If you just want to play guitar as a novelty thing, as a hobby, that's awesome. You know, keep your fingers nimble.
Yeah.
But people who just use music as like a thing to flaunt their you know image, it's like, I don't know. I play it because I love it, man.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah. I also don't know how to do anything else.
That's it. I used to play hockey, and I was like, if I'm being totally honest with you, I'd rather play guitar than get fucking dummied at every hockey game I go to and play. Mm-hmm. I'd rather play guitar and be like, whoa, thunderstruck, you know, like, than be completely exhausted and sore.
Yeah. I just painted myself into a corner and I had no other options.
Yeah.
By the time I was like, I should probably try to make some money to live, it was too late.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did that by design.
Sure.
Because, do you remember the 90s, I guess you'd call her kind of a indie folk singer, Jewel? Do you remember her?
Yeah.
She had this awesome quote that was, if you have a fallback plan, you're going to fall back.
Exactly. I've heard a lot of people say that. If you have a plan B, you will never do plan A.
Yeah.
I don't have a backup plan. When I got out of high school, everyone was telling me to go to school and have a backup plan and you know, well, it's good to have at least some kind of degree. And it's like, well, I mean, you're probably right, But at the same time, if I go and get a degree, I'm not getting the experience that I am now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've been really fortunate to see this country and play guitar. And that's how I've been able to see this country. It's beautiful. And I am so appreciative. But if I was in school right now, I would not have even left Ontario.
Yep.
You know?
And here's the thing, too.
It's just how it goes.
If at some point you decide you want to get a degree, you could always get a music degree. And
it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
I could be 50 years old and decide to go to school. I'm not concerned at 20 about any kind of education or post-secondary education, at least. Like, I graduated high school. That's all I'm really concerned about.
I barely made it out of high school. I didn't go to college until I was 24.
Yeah.
I studied music, and I dropped out halfway through second year to go on a North American tour. Because that was the whole reason I was there.
Yep.
Was to try to learn enough about my instrument and also make as many contacts as I could possibly make so that I could go on tour with bands and make records and shit. And now you're already doing that. You're going on tour and making records. And that was why I was there. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
All you just kind of circumvented going to school first.
Yeah, I just jumped over the middleman.
Well, and
sort of.
Yeah, and shit. Really, if I had not been such a stoner burnout in my early 20s, I probably could have done the same thing. But some people can be functional stoners.
Sure.
I'm not one.
Sure.
I'm not a functional stoner.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of dude that melts into the couch and just watches South Park
And I
reruns.
talk to a lot of people who are like that too, because I love a good joint in the mid-afternoon. You know, if I'm not working, if I'm just hanging out, I would love to be some kind of productive. Like, I'll smoke a joint and clean the house.
Sure.
You know, it's just like, it doesn't affect me in a certain way that I would want, or not that I'd want, but that would force me to be like couch locked, or go to bed or something, or lazy.
Yeah.
At least I haven't noticed that. Maybe it does, and I just can't tell. Maybe everyone else around me is like, it's really a problem.
I don't know, man. You seem to be doing a lot of shit to me anyway.
I smoked a joint before I came in, and I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Other than the audio crashing on this thing.
yeah. It's because I smoked a joint before I came in.
That's totally what did it. It knew somehow.
But no, and that's it. Like, I just want to play music with people I love to play music with.
Fuck yeah,
and
man.
Since I've been out of high school, the first year I got out of high school, the summer I graduated, I went on my first real tour.
Yeah.
Like, actually staying overnight to play a gig the next day multiple times.
That's such a cool feeling, isn't it, the first time?
Pat Temple.
Nice.
We went to... This is actually the tour that I met my partner on, Jeannie.
No shit.
You know Jeannie.
Yeah.
You've met Jeannie once or twice. Yeah. So we did Kingsville. It was just like a 3-day run.
Yep.
We did Kingsville, London, and Fenland Falls. And we stayed over at Pat's place. He lives near Lindsay. So stayed over at Pat's, I had been talking to Jeannie while we were on the road a little bit, and she was like, well, I work at this breakfast place in Bob Cajun. And I was like, so we went for breakfast in Bob Cajun, and then went and played the Fenland Falls gig, and then she came to the gig after she was done working. We just mutually made each other shit our pants, because she didn't know I was coming.
Right.
I just showed up at her work, and she was like, totally stunned. And then she did the same thing to me at the gig. And then after that, we went out for dinner, and the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been together now?
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
3 years this year.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
It's good. I'm really enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been, playing music with her is so much fun.
Yeah.
She is so much fun to play music with.
Nice.
Yeah. Big time. Big time.
That helps.
Yeah.
That helps.
But,
yeah,
the touring thing. That was my first real tour, and that was in 2022.
Wow.
And since then, I've been really lucky to be on a couple fairly hefty tours and be flying, and I've got 4 tours this year booked that I can't quite talk about yet.
That's okay. Another time.
Yes, but they're very exciting.
That's awesome.
Very, very exciting shows. And yeah, I don't know. Experience is the best education.
Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. And actually, that's one of my instructors. When I told him, I was like, "Look, I've got this opportunity." He's like, "Just go. You're not going to learn that shit in the classroom."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay," and he was right. There was a bunch of stuff that I learned out on the road. I was like, Oh.
Yeah. You're going to learn to sleep on a floor.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
eat Mr. Noodles every day. You know, I feel like a fucking college kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I was going to say, like, that's that kind of stuff you'll learn. How do I? Not everybody has your best interest at heart. That's something that you're not going to learn in a classroom.
No.
And it's extremely valuable. And if you can learn it as potentially consequence-free as possible,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That lesson cost me $3,000.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have similar stories.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you find things out. You're like, okay.
Oh, you find out quick, man.
Yep,
You
real
find
quick.
out so fast. And it you know.
The nice thing is, too, is after that, you really know what smoke smells like. And you're like, if I smell smoke, I know there's fucking fire.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's it. Like, I don't wish that, like, I if I could take back the things that I've been through in that sense, it's like, yeah, it's a huge headache to deal with some of these things. But, like, I feel like I have the best bullshit detector around.
Yeah.
You know, just from
being bullshitted.
From being bullshitted so much.
Oh my God. We're going to make you a star, Nikki.
Yeah.
We're going to make you a star. And you're like, nah.
No.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You fucking liar. You know.
But I mean, I'm very grateful for the support that I have had. Like,
Oh,
it feels
yeah.
like the community is so generous.
Oh, yeah.
know.
That being said, sorry, I'm using hyperbole for a little bit of comedic effect.
Yeah.
People do burn you, but
They
for
do.
the most part.
They do.
For the most part, though, most people are cool.
Yeah, most people are cool. There are a few that'll burn you though.
Yeah.
There's the folks, you know, or like there is in any community.
Yep.
You know, there's always people that are, you know, could be hard to work with. But hey, you know, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
You live life, you live and learn, and
C'est la vie.
c'est la vie, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I've been listening to a lot of Charles Aznavour.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is.
He's like the French Frank Sinatra.
Okay. Cool.
He put his first record out in 1955, and it is amazing.
Really?
Check it out.
Okay, I will. You're gonna have to send me like.
I got so much music to send you,
yes,
man.
please, because like my whole life has been steeped in, other than the little excursion for school when it was all jazz all day, every day. Everything else was like just fucking hard rock, a lot of metal, like just pretty dark.
Yeah.
Pretty dark music, really, and then a shit ton of funk.
Yeah.
A shit ton of funk.
Yep. That's something I've never dove into.
Oh, okay.
Like none of those things, aside from jazz.
Right.
I've never really gotten to a heavy. I mean, punk. I love punk music.
Sure, sure.
But nothing like metal or hard rock.
Yeah.
You know.
I can send you some bands.
Yeah.
We'll do an exchange.
Yes.
Like a tape swap.
Yeah.
Which you're probably too young to have done.
Oh, I love tape swaps.
You've done full blown tape
Yeah.
swaps? Okay, shit. No
I
way.
love records. I do records.
Yeah.
I'm a big record collector.
Nice. How many you got?
I don't even know, man.
Really?
I've got like probably bigger than this table, like a cabinet full of albums.
Whoa.
And I've got six 45 boxes full and 3 shoe boxes full and a banker's box full of 45s.
Holy shit.
And then a bunch of loose albums that are sitting on the floor
Nice.
beside the cabinet.
Yeah.
So yes, I've got too many records for sure.
That's
It's
awesome.
like being on the road and going to different record stores, and then you're digging through, and you're like, "Oh my god, there's a good find. There's another good find. There's another good find." It's just all the money you make at the gig is spent either on food, travel, or records.
Yeah. Or strings.
Or whatever.
Renewable expenses. Batteries.
Batteries. Yeah.
Actually, with the battery things, you ever use like a one spot? Like
Yeah.
those power, those things are awesome, especially the ones that get the really quiet signal.
Yeah.
Because for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, sometimes power sources are really, really noisy.
Very loud.
Yeah, and they put this weird hum, like a zzz, through your amp, and it's gross. So there are things that we can. That's also when you're hiring musicians, you're not just hiring them to get up and like sing and dance and do their puppet show.
Yeah.
It's tens of thousands of dollars on gear. And
Oh, yeah.
tens of thousands of hours of playing, like just practicing.
Perfecting the tone.
Yeah. And then, and even that, It's still not perfect because it's going to be changed in like a month.
Yeah,
At least mine is.
I had one of those happen. We were doing a gig in Kingsville last year at the Kingsville Folk Festival, and I had just downgraded my pedal board. So my board's really, really tiny. So I had one of those really tiny power supplies.
Yep.
And the first couple gigs, I was like, I don't know what that ring is. Why is there a ring coming out of my amp? And so those were just like venue gigs. You know, it was okay. They weren't so loud, and we weren't mic'd loud enough that you could really hear it out front.
Right.
But we did this folk festival, and it's like, you know, a proper stage and full, you know, front of house and the whole shebang. And it's like, you could hear the ring from like the main building, which was like 400 feet away.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's not great.
So I was like, oh no. And it was my delay pedal that was doing it.
Oh.
So I ditched my pedal board for that gig, and I had the sound guy put a delay, like a slapback delay, on the mic that was on the amp.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You got to make do, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, like, you figure it out. You find out. I played a show once. I was doing the dishes, and
At the show.
No, at the.
Yes, the
Yes.
dishes at the show.
Yes, the old dish show.
Yeah.
I was drawing a glass, and it broke, and it sliced my hand open.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't have time to get stitches. I have to be in Toronto in 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Duct tape
Yeah.
and gauze and
A lot of gauze.
And I actually like stuffed the gauze like into the slice.
Oh.
Yeah, it was gnarly, and just wound it up as much as I could. And it was down more towards the palm. It wasn't
like
up in
middle
this-
of your.
Yeah, it wasn't mid palm. It was down here, so I could still fret easily. And easily is the wrong word.
Yeah.
I could still fret.
Yeah. You
And-
can play root notes.
Yep. Didn't really help much for the Rush tunes.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt.
But for the Georgia Satellite songs, we were fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy. And you're just like, well,
Gotta.
think about it later.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, you ever have food poisoning on stage?
I have not. But I
That's
know
a
people
trip.
who have.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
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 You really test your metal when you're slowly shitting yourself
Yeah.
and trying to sing at the same time. You're like, okay, those are some dribbles.
Yep.
Okay, here
I'm
we
gonna go work on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's if you can avoid it, I would recommend.
Ideally,
Yeah. Try not to. It's horrific. Then you like spend the entire set break hurling, and it's just in some like fucking dive in Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gigs are weird. Gigs can be so weird. I was out
be.
in Cumberland, BC
Nice.
in November of last year on tour. And we were doing a gig as part of the Woodstove Festival in
Okay.
Cumberland. Fantastic festival. Really, really great. Really cool spot.
Okay.
It's on Vancouver Island, and it's just like the festival was in the core downtown, but every venue was operating at the same time. So it was like bands. There was like a main spot for bands to put their gear and like and food and all that kind of stuff and merch. And then there was like, I don't even know how many different venues there were all operating at the same time, like through 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. to like 3 a.m. live music.
That's awesome.
Festival. So we're doing this gig at the Legion, which is also in the downtown. Went and played our set. Set went great.
Nice.
After the set, our set time was 11:40 to... No, it was 11:30 to 12:30. So we're 1 a.m. outside of the Legion after the gig. And I'm smoking a joint because the gig's over. I can't smoke on gigs. That's another thing about weed. Can't smoke on gigs. Smoking a joint after the gig. And I just like passed out, completely blacked out.
Yeah, you told me
into a couple people. So I came back to Ontario and got checked, and I am hypoglycemic.
Yeah, I was
like
gonna
no
ask if it's low
blood sugar. Yeah.
That
And I
makes
just
sense.
like I totally,
yeah.
yeah.
You're so lucky you fell into people and not into concrete.
I fell into this fan, this random guy just with like a beer in his hand. I knocked the beer out of his hand and just fell on him, took him down with me. Didn't obviously fall on the ground, but like he caught me somewhat and then kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was rough. And then I sat down on a bench. They went and got me a ginger ale from inside at the bar and I went to bed. And that was on Saturday night. I had another gig at 1 p.m. the next day.
Yeah.
Saturday night at 1 a.m. I passing out in the street, and then I got to play a 45-minute set at 1 p.m. the next day.
Yep.
And I am
gotta do what you
I
gotta
am on
do,
the other
right?
side of the country.
Yeah.
Like that's the scary part.
Shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah. With that, because you're hypoglycemic, I don't know if you knew this, but cannabis is a vasodilator.
Yeah.
So it actually allows your blood vessels to open more, which will pump your blood through you even faster.
Yeah.
So for anybody with already low blood pressure, make sure that you are sitting down if you're getting stoned.
Yeah.
Or for somebody that's hypoglycemic, make sure that you are well fed before you eat. Otherwise, when those blood vessels open up, all the blood is going to shoot out of your head because gravity.
Yep.
The blood's going to shoot out of your head and into your feet, and you're going to probably go
Pass
down.
And that was the thing. I didn't eat much that day. I had maybe a couple sandwiches, like a couple little peanut butter sandwiches before the gig, and that was it.
Well, and that's something I think that a lot of people don't take into consideration too when you're touring at,
it's hard.
Like, if you're like van touring kind of touring or doing a fly-in, and like when we're touring, most of us don't have like big sweet fucking buses.
Yeah.
Like
We're touring in like minivans.
Yeah.
Or SUVs.
And you're using a drum case as a pillow.
Yep.
So you're not particularly well fed, not the way you would be at home.
Yep.
So it's really easy to have eaten next to nothing most of the day before you even get on stage.
Yep.
And so I've actually seen, you're not the first person I've heard of blacking out smoking a joint because they haven't had enough to eat.
Yeah.
Or you smoke and then you stand up quickly and you go down. I've seen that happen to people too. And one of them really freaked me out, and a trip to the hospital was involved.
At a gig?
Not at a gig. Nope.
Okay.
This one luckily was not at a gig. This was in just off time civilian life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We like to call you guys normies.
Yeah.
So took this person to the hospital and found out, that's where I learned that cannabis is a vasodilator. Had no idea that it did that. I was like, oh, this is really good information to have, because at first they're like, what did they take? It was fucking weed. What was in it? It was like, dude, where'd you get it from? I was like, I grew it.
Yeah.
Like, there's water and dirt. I don't know.
And it's a plant.
Then like, there's nothing. It's not laced with anything unless somebody snuck into my backyard in the middle of the night and poured chemicals on the shit.
Sure.
Which, why would anybody do that?
Well, that's the same thing with alcohol too. Like too much alcohol and you'll black out and pass out.
Yeah, big time.
It just so happens with cannabis, it's a little quicker.
Yeah.
Because I don't drink much anymore.
Yeah.
At all. Really? Like I might have the odd drink, but I say anymore like I was drinking a lot. But even just being 20 years old, like the past year and a half has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
Just being of age to do all these things now, and, of age to buy lottery tickets when I was 18 and vote and drink in Quebec and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I've been, a part of, the public since I was 10.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just normal for me, being in bars and being around drunk people and experiencing it firsthand as because my parents were always there at the gigs, right?
Yep.
Experiencing it for myself firsthand, I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm really drawn to.
Yeah.
But smoking, I like, that was the thing with drinking. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
I feel like shit when I drink.
Yeah.
Like even having 2 or 3 beers, like I'm just like, ugh.
It's poison.
Yeah.
That's why you get intoxicated.
Yeah. But I'll smoke a joint and over 2 hours, 3 hours, like I'll get a decent high on and then not smoke another joint for maybe 2 or 3, like if I'm going out on a night or something. And it's, cheaper.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So it's been good, and understanding how it works with something like hypoglycemia is really interesting. Because I don't drink anymore, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was never a big drinker. I got absolutely shit-faced for the first time when I was like 13.
Yeah.
And horrific hangover. Just rough. And I was like, okay, this might not be for me.
Yeah.
And then, there was a time where I was a massive wake and bake, stoned all day pothead and not particularly productive, unfortunately. And
sure.
I'm not proud of that, but that's it. It happened.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yep.
And especially like what really cured me of the pot abuse was my first North American tour.
First American tour. Went to the U.S. because we did like 2 spots in Canada. So Anyway, we're in the States, so I didn't, obviously not bringing anything across the border.
Yeah.
And I was way too afraid to ask anybody when we got there, because who knows, right? I'm not going to jail in a different country.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
And so when I got home, I tried to smoke the same way I smoked before I left after 4 months gone, and just floored. That might be the audio again. God damn it. We got to work that out later. That is, yep, there it is. Audio disc may be full.
Father mucker.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, well, let's try again.
Okay, well, anyway, keep going with the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, man. This is a this is a hell of a test.
No, it's okay.
But anyway, just total went like panic attack. It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was like fucking horrific, actually. So, anywho, now just pretty straight-laced kind of caffeine, though.
Yeah.
Like big time on the caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee.
I used to drink a lot of coffee. I used to drink like 5 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah.
And I stopped that because it was messing with my playing.
Right. Oh, because you're all
Dexterity.
jitty and shit? Jittery?
Jittery. Yeah, even just like coffee, like getting on, used to drinking 5 cups of coffee a day and then seeing the negative effects and stopping. Like I don't drink coffee ever anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, completely.
Same with drinking. Like I just don't.
Wow.
And I say, as a 20-year-old, but it's like I used to, when I was just 19 and even 18, like, drinking before I was of age for sure. With all my high school friends,
Yeah.
But it's like, I just felt like shit all the time. And it's like, it's not a great look.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's not worth it. It's at least for me, it was like, especially the drinking, I was like, man, I just feel like dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm getting nothing done.
Yeah. Super unproductive. I just want to stay in bed all day.
Yeah.
And it's like, this sucks. And then now it's like literally anything that might interfere with the way I'm playing or getting much of anything done. Also, like a big thing that really, really reduced it was having a kid.
Sure.
Like
yeah.
When my wife was around 7-ish months pregnant, I just stopped. 'Cause, like, again, never a big drinker, but I might have the odd drink.
Right.
And after that U.S. tour, not a big smoker anymore, but would still smoke the odd joint.
Yep.
All of it completely stopped at 7 months pregnant because I was like, I'm not going to be that deadbeat husband that's fucked up and can't drive his wife to the hospital.
Sure.
And then the desire to stay away from it got even stronger after the kid was born, because it was like, if she gets hurt and I'm fucked up, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
That's so bad. And then one day she actually got stung by a shit ton of bees. And
there you go.
Got stung inside her mouth and her head started blowing up. Had to call an ambulance.
Ouch.
And it was really
Gross.
scary. Yeah, really scary.
Yeah.
There was a stinger stuck in her tongue.
That is not good.
No, it was really bad. And so shit like that, and I was like, okay, this is kind of vindication for my, my parent paranoia.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, no, I'm right. I'm right to not be, and also like the martial arts thing. I went to training hungover once.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, never doing this. I puked.
Yeah.
And I've thrown up after training a couple of times.
Sure.
Because you're so exhausted.
Yeah, you work so hard. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, and then just, I don't know, your reaction time is down. You're getting hit with shots you shouldn't get hit with, or caught in submissions you wouldn't normally get caught with. And it's just not fucking worth it.
Yeah.
You know? And then playing reaction time is down. Or at least for me, reaction time is down. My attention is not really what it should be. So like, if especially in an improvisational setting, it's like maybe you don't follow the right way, or just before you go on stage, as I'm sure you've done, it's like, hey, we're gonna do whatever instead of what we normally do. You're like, okay, cool, and you just kind of log that in the vault. But then, if I'm a little bit off my game, I'm not gonna remember that. I was like, oh,
well, and that's the other thing too, is that touring will sober you up, because it's like you can't go out and get obliterated every night after the show. It's like, it's great, you know, if you have a good show, not necessarily on tour, but like have a good show and maybe have a couple drinks after or whatever, like that's cool.
Yeah, celebration's great.
Yeah, but you know, people see touring, like really touring, as, you know, musicians just going out playing shows and getting fucked up every night. And it's like, you can't do that.
No,
you cannot do that. You got to be straight and narrow on the tours for sure.
Yeah, well, it's not sustainable.
No,
like you will
in bar
fall.
tabs. You'll,
oh god,
you know.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the fiscal impact. Yeah.
Like economically, it's just not feasible.
No, it's not. But then also like just the wear and tear, without drinking or doing drugs, the wear and tear of touring on your body is fucking crazy, because you're stuck in a vehicle for really long periods of time,
like hours.
Yeah,
a day.
Like sometimes, depending, 8-10 hours. If you have a crazy ass drive. There was one with Emily where we drove from, it was either from Calgary to Winnipeg or Winnipeg to Calgary. I don't really remember, but we did it without stopping.
Yeah.
But wow. I mean, obviously bathroom breaks and shit, but like no overnight
straight through,
stays. Straight. Yeah. Just a straight shot. That is fucking brutal. And doing that kind of stuff hungover, no way. No way it's happening. And so you just, and your body hurts, and just you're trying to, no, it's not going to happen. So yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you're figuring life out,
doing the thing.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. A lot of people see me as just, you know, I had a free ticket to where I'm at, but it's like, no, it's not that at all. And it's, if it was that easy, I mean, that would be so nice if we could all just have a free ticket to it. But it's like, work is, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You got to cut teeth.
Absolutely. It's, I don't know, I say it all the time. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to be great at something, you are going to work your fucking ass off.
Yeah.
Even if maybe you have a further, like if your starting line is more advantageous than somebody else's, like, don't you have perfect pitch?
Yeah, but I mean, even then, it's like, people are like, oh, look at you with perfect pitch. You know, everything's so easy. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It helps, but, you know, I still have to apply it.
Yeah.
You know,
if your hands, it wouldn't matter if you had perfect pitch, but dog shit hands.
Or I don't know music.
Or that too.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah. If I can't play what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Then what good is it?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's like, it's maybe a cool party trick.
It's a cool party trick.
If somebody hits keys on a piano, you can tell them what the notes are. Neato.
Well, I love it for sessions.
Yeah.
Because I can hear harmonies. Someone sings a note, I know what the note is. I can tell you what the harmony is over whatever chord or progression or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cool for writing like lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big time.
So of course
arranging.
Like
voicings and
100%. Something like that, like basically a genetic advantage.
Yeah.
That's great, but that's kind of all it is. It's an advantage. It's not a like you called it a free ticket.
Yeah.
Like that's not how anything that you want to be good at works. Some people are physical. Look at Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
That is a physical
He's huge.
fucking freak.
Yeah.
But if he was just a couch potato and didn't do anything with his genetic quote unquote gift of his size, he's not getting to.
He's not Shaquille O'Neal.
He's not Shaquille O'Neal as we know him.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Instead of Shaq, one of the most iconic basketball players of a generation, he's just some dude that works at Home Depot, maybe. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, he's a giant, but that motherfucker worked.
Yeah.
and you're doing the same thing. And
it's not like I don't want to be a giant necessarily. I don't care. You know, I just love playing, but it does help in things like the studio and you know,
yeah, and I don't know,
and making music, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Writing is so fun.
Writing is so weird.
I love it.
I have a weird relationship with it because I went through a weird writer's block for a bit. I had 2 years where I didn't write anything.
Really?
Yeah, or I would just write lines and scrap them.
Yeah, I do that every day.
Yeah.
Do you ever do free writing?
No.
Okay, so it's like a stream of consciousness idea where I force myself every single day to sit down for 20 minutes and just write whatever comes into my
words,
head. Yeah, words, yeah. So like lyrical stuff. And 99% of it is hot garbage.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I'll get like a cool little tidbit. I'm like, sweet. And then I'll expand on it and see where it goes. And like a lot of stuff gets thrown out, but a lot of stuff is kept and actually turned into things, and it can become really cool.
That's the nice part about songwriting too, is that you can keep things.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw them out. That's cool that you do that, because I'm the opposite. I can only write when I'm inspired. I can't write.
So,
you know?
Well, yet. So it's think about it, like, so when you're writing riffs or licks or something like that, how often do you practice that?
Not so often, you know, maybe.
Like practicing your guitar?
Oh, right. Yeah. Over and over and over again.
Over and over again, like every day.
Yeah.
For how many years?
That's it.
Yeah. Start doing that lyrically. Like, here, check this shit out.
Just write.
Yeah, just write.
Yeah.
So, like, this is a relatively new phone, so it's not as full as it should be, but like, I wrote that shit shoveling the driveway the other day.
Yeah.
And it's
wow, so much.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it started with, you know, and that was part of my writing time, my like forced writing time.
Yeah.
And I literally do that every day. And I have, not on that phone, on an older phone, I have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those.
Yeah.
And most of them are garbage.
Sure.
But some of them have cool ideas in it. And I'm like, sweet. Okay. Cool. Another one for the vault.
Yeah.
And then who knows? Like I'll have a chord progression or a riff or something that works out that just it fits. And I'm like, fucking A.
Totally.
Put those together. And then sometimes the riff or whatever will inspire a new lyric, and that's fine too.
Yep.
But like, at least if I've got an instrumental piece that I need a lyric for, but I feel stuck, like I can just go to the filing cabinet.
Yeah.
Because I got literally hundreds of them. I'm like, okay, sweet.
I've got enough. You know?
Right. Sure. But I mean, if you ever feel like you're getting stuck with it, because you said you had a funny relationship with songwriting.
Yeah, like I had such a writer's block for like 2 years. I didn't write anything.
How'd you get through it?
I switched genres. I guess.
Okay.
No, well, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm not so much chasing the rockabilly thing anymore. I'm loving doing the 60s thing.
Oh, okay.
You know,
just in general, like an era as opposed to a genre.
Yeah. Instead of just pigeonholing myself as a rockabilly guy, it's like, well, I like old music, period.
That's dope.
Yeah, and it's you know, some rock and roll, like real hard actual rock and roll music.
Yeah.
You know, kind of 50s style stuff, and some good rockabilly stuff.
Sure.
But nothing like I've ever written. Like even He Said, She Said is a brand new even idea for me to write that kind of music.
Right.
So since I've been trying to write in that kind of a context, I've been feeling a lot more inspired, for sure.
That's cool. Yeah.
I feel like I ran my well dry with rockabilly.
That makes sense.
You know, I did the thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, and like by almost putting yourself in a box saying this is my genre, I could see how that would get stuck easily.
Yeah.
Instead of just writing what you write.
Yeah. And I love it. You know, I'm always going to love it. It's always going to be a love of man.
Sure.
I'm fortunate enough to play Red Hot and Blue again this year at the Rockabilly Festival in Ontario.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a part of my shows. You know, I'm always going to be a rockabilly artist, but
Sure.
I don't just want to be a rockabilly artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
Music is weird, and like something that I always try to akin songwriting to. You're trying to put a puzzle together that you're building while you're putting it together.
Yeah.
Like you don't know necessarily how all the pieces are going to fit until you've built those pieces.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you find out that maybe they actually
They
don't
don't.
fit. And
Yeah,
it's like,
totally.
And you have to be okay with it.
But it's the same thing as like, I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
It's like I might never see it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that thing may be.
Yeah. Dude, I have found a missing piece to tunes literally years later sometimes. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. It took me a year to write He Said, She Said.
No shit.
Yeah. 2
Wow.
even, maybe. Yeah. I started writing it at the start of my writer's block. And then I didn't touch it.
Yeah.
Like I had maybe the chorus.
Right.
Not even. And 2 years later, I just banged out the rest of the song.
Nice.
Like, just like that. Just because I was like, stop getting in the rockabilly mindset.
Right.
Don't just think about everything in that kind of style. It's like, you don't have to.
Yeah. It's one of the coolest things. I was dead set on writing this one tune, and it had to be Dorian.
Yeah.
It had to be a Dorian thing. And the chorus my verses were cool, and my pre-chorus was cool, but the chorus I was trying to write it was dog shit.
Yeah.
It just really sucked. And I was working on it at the store, and Rico was walking past my room. I was like, Rico, come here for a sec. Come here. This is what I'm doing. He goes, uh-huh. Why does it have to be Dorian? I was like, I don't know. He's like, cool, think about it. And he just walked away. And he went to the bathroom. He comes back from the can. I was like, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All it took was somebody going like, why?
He would be such a good producer.
Oh my God.
I want Rico to produce one of my albums. That'd be great.
Just ask him.
I should ask him.
Yeah.
Because that'd be
He'd
sweet.
totally do it.
He would, because he's another one of those guys that can really tell you, to do something if you're not doing it right.
Oh yeah.
You
And
know.
he'll
Not in like a shitty way though.
No, but
that's the difference,
Yeah. And it's weird. He can give you just the right nudge, like something like, why does it have to be Dorian? Or if you're really, really stuck, he'll be like, try
this.
whatever.
Yeah.
And even if the thing that he suggests that you try isn't the thing you end up with, it's enough to knock you out of that rut from whatever headspace you're stuck in. And that's like, man, what a treasure trove that can end up becoming, right? Like, cause it's so easy to spin your wheels sometimes, which is brutal. Anyway, we're almost at the 2 hour mark.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have to wrap it up, and I think a lot of this is just gonna be audio pulled off the cameras. So
rock on.
We're gonna get the audio stuff sorted eventually in here. All right, Nick. One more time. So give everybody all the places that they can. Actually, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you super quick. Did you want to play?
It's up to you. I'm easy. I'm easy.
Give us something, man.
Okay.
All right.
What do you want me to play? I'm just coming off a cold, so I don't know that I can sing much. I don't know.
Hang on. I'm gonna. All right. Yeah. That thing. The audio on the computer failed again. So you. Oh no, it's still going. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna turn this one up.
I don't know. What do we got? Do a noodle. We'll do a noodle maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna try to jam with it.
Yeah, do it.
All right.
I don't know, 12 bars, something or other. You want to take a head?
You know what? If I'm gonna take heads and shit, I should probably play harp.
Okay.
Because I'm.
My soul is upside down. Well, my brain is cloudy, my soul is upside down. When I get that low down feeling, I know the blues must be someplace around. Well, you've got to treat me right, day by day. Get out your little prayer book and get down on your knees and pray. 'Cause you're gonna need my help someday. And you're gonna be so sorry for treating me this way. Go, man. Don't that sun look good going down? I said, well, good evening. Don't that sun look good going down? Don't your home feel so lonesome when your lover just ain't around? Well, I've tried everything, pretty baby, to get along with you, and I'm fixing to tell you just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop crying, gonna leave you alone. If you don't think I'm leaving, you can count the days I'm gone, 'cause you're gonna need my help someday. You're gonna be so sorry for treating me this way. Yes, you are.
The Brain Cloudy Blues.
Right on, man.
Yeah, man.
That was dope.
Bob Wills, yeah, that's right.
Bob Wills.
Some Bob Wills.
Cool. I don't know that tune.
Okay.
That's fun shit, though,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we're probably gonna have to call it there. Why don't you one more time tell
Yeah.
everybody what you got going on, where they can find you, because you are the shit, sir.
No, don't say that. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me, Dawson. This was fun, man. This was a lot of fun.
Cool. I'm
yeah.
glad. Please come back anytime.
Yes, I will. We'll do another one.
Awesome.
Yeah, doing some shows. Got a lot of shows coming up. So, Nicholas Campbell music on all of your platforms. and websites and such, and streaming.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again to Treblecock Studios for letting us record this here and hang out. Thank you to Pet Rock for putting out the first hour, and thank you to Mad Sound Dynamics. My name's Dawson McManus, Nicholas Campbell. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.